Hello everyone and welcome to the final round coverage of the 2020 Battle for Bedford presented by Blue Chip Technologies and hosted by Bedford County Parks and Rec. I'm Hunter and joined in the booth by Paul McBeth. How's it going, Paul?
Going pretty well. We are very fortunate to have two beautiful days out here, and I'm looking forward to watching this.
Yeah, so we're starting back out here again. If you haven't watched the first round, this is hole 6 of the course, but hole 1 for the tournament. Playing over the water here and then into this pretty treacherous hillside. You definitely want to be kind of a little bit long and right, but as Paul mentioned yesterday, long of the basket leaves you with a pretty scary putt.
Yeah, and you can see the scores are pretty low here. I shot a 4 down, Barry Schultz 3 under, Taylor Brooks 2 under, and then Brad, how do you say that?
Lescalleet, I believe.
There we go, even. So, difficult course, and looking forward to seeing some, I think some hotter rounds today now that people have played the course once in competition, because this is the first tournament here. The course is only 2 months old at this point.
It is very, very new. And I think the long tees are even newer than that. You ripped out on a buds there, got a great kick, and I believe Barry was going with a rock and gets a pretty similar result, 15 feet or so, pretty easy putt to start off the round.
Yeah, that's what you want, especially on this first hole. It's really like the only give me on the course. And then this is Taylor Brooks. He's actually a professional ultimate player.
Oh wow, I recognize. I saw the ultimate T-shirt, Radford Ultimate or something like that, but I did not know that about him.
Yeah, he plays up in New York, I believe.
Interesting. Brad is also a end of a sponsored player, just like Barry. Him and Taylor both are filtering their shots a little bit more to the left side. Gonna leave them playing out of those woods there, which it's tough to get out of. Oh, Brad actually kicked down.
Yeah, it's safe over there. If you do make your mistake, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be short in the water or really far putting down towards the water. So those were good par saves by them, and then Barry and I basically got some drop ins right there.
Definitely how you want to start your round out there. Hole 2 here is a pretty beast of a par 4. You need your drive to be landing basically where the drone is now, kind of at the top of this hill if you want a chance at the birdie. Second shot's going to be a backhand turnover or a forehand, most likely for these players if they can get in position, but the common mistake is to miss a little bit too far right or to hyzer out early to the left woods, so that's what people are trying to avoid here.
Yeah, yesterday I ended up on the right side, so I'm looking to make the adjustment here.
Holy crap.
I think I switched it up to a force. Nope, went with the Zeus, a little flippy. I actually went with the flippier Zeus. This way I knew I had to put on hyzer. I was able to get it right to that top edge of the hill. And Barry, I don't know if he has the distance right now to get it up there.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to flex it a little bit, and it just kind of came out a little flat, so it ended on the left side there for him. Brad swinging it out a lot wider, and that's going to come back on the right side. It's going to be a little pinched off, but it should be a relatively easy 4.
Yeah, that's not actually the worst spot either. There's kind of a flat spot over there, so if you can kind of get by that lone tree, you might be able to get maybe a roller or a huge turnover up to the basket. One
thing that you'll notice about Taylor is he's a very quick player.
Very quick. You probably missed him a couple times in this video.
I think we missed him once for sure. But, a lot of times you'll think, man, why'd you cut it so close? That was just how much time he took before his shot.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it, just a fast player.
No, and when I was playing with him, I was like, you're an ultimate player. Like, you're still playing ultimate, right? Because you can tell everything's so, reactional.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't overthink stuff. He just reacts to all his shots.
Yeah, so you were pretty much in prime position there, and no surprise to be able to see that type of execution. If you can have that backhand turnover, that's ideally what you're looking for here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to put that one up close, and Taylor going back and forth right here, but he does have a look to save par right there. Barry just smooth layup, just taking his par.
Good bid from Brad there. I believe that was his birdie bid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was over there on the right side off the tee, so he had a good second shot.
Taylor will be tapping out his bogey.
Yeah, I mean, being on that left side early, that makes it real hard to get up and down to save a par.
Yeah, very, very tough hole, we had mentioned. Paul getting a birdie there. I think you birdied this both rounds, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. The first round was kind of a lucky birdie. Second one, I actually executed it how I wanted, so.
Hole 3 here is also another tough one to get. 425 feet downhill, drastically downhill. I believe it's like 60 to 90 feet of elevation change, somewhere in there. So it plays a little bit closer to 320 to 350, but you just want something just pushing straight the whole way to try to get you a good look at this basket.
Yeah, I go with a really beat up wasp right here. I like to start it out with a good amount of hyzer, hit the gap initially, and then just let the disc shape the fairway itself. I don't have to do anything extra. But yeah, I thought that had a chance to go in.
Yeah, a little deep. I think that log that we just saw in the frame kind of stopped you there, maybe 20, 25 feet past, but that was definitely basket height when it was coming in there.
And Barry goes with a slightly different approach. He goes with this flat shot, just kind of lets it glide down there. Really good result.
We'll have a putt, probably about circle's edge through some trees, but looked like it was a pretty unobstructed view at the basket there for him.
Brad also, well, he actually pulled this one here, but was able to push that right side. There's actually a cart path up there.
Oh, yeah. So he just rode along that the whole way down.
Yeah, for the maintenance and stuff. And this forehand, I think, ended up on the right side as well. Yeah, caught something up there, and this is a really difficult spot. I was surprised he actually got out the initial gap. Was able to get it down there, possibly with a jump putt. But you can see Brad landed right here on that cart path.
Yeah, decent ways down there, but he's a little pinched off, so no surprise to kind of see that straight shot. That's going to leave him a little bit of an outside look to save his par.
Taylor just pitching up here.
He's very good with those little touchy forehand shots.
Yeah, not trying to force much, just put it up by the basket. And this is for Brad's par save.
Great putts from there. Stuff like that really helps you get your round going when you're starting out.
Yeah, especially getting it in early like that. Gives you some confidence going in.
Wow, great putt from Barry there. A lot of arc on that.
Yeah, he got that way up there. He maximized his ceiling right there. It was actually a pretty low ceiling putt too.
So we'll get birdies for Barry and Paul, and then a bogey for Taylor, it looks like. And a par for Brad to round out that hole as we head into hole 4. Pretty scenic hole, a similar gap off the tee where you just have to hit something and have a disc hold straight. But what's different about this hole is there's this creek that runs along the fairway that is casual water, and then at the end you're going to want your most likely fairway driver. Some players might be attacking it with a mid to be finishing to the left here. You can't really hyzer too much on this hole. You want something to kind of push straight for a long time and then have a soft hyzer finish at the end.
Yeah, this hole's actually shorter than the previous one, but because of the elevation difference, you kind of have to bump up to a fairway driver to get it there. I went with the vulture there, kept it low and landed in the creek, but still about 20, 25. So I'll get a play out of the water. Barry went fairway driver as well.
Yeah, that looks like it's finishing left side of the basket, probably 25 or so feet, maybe even less than that. We should have a pretty simple birdie there for him.
Yeah, it's pretty ideal. Just get it to finish right up on the left side of the creek.
Stay in the air.
Brad, I believe this red disc he's been throwing, he'll continue to throw most of the round. I believe it's a Thunderbird, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
He seemed to be really liking that disc. And Taylor just ripping a forehand down here. Not a bad play if that's the way, your preferred throw, because it can get you down here on this right side, and most of the stuff will filter into this valley, leave you this outside look.
Oh, great putt.
Yeah, wow. I actually couldn't remember if he converted on that, but that's a good one to hopefully get his round kind of turned around after those 2 early bogeys.
Standing in water right there, so that felt good. I actually kept my feet a little cool. Luckily, I had the waterproofs on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I wore them that day because I had a feeling I was going to end up in the water.
There's a few spots on this course that you can, but that's the only one you really will end up playing from, I believe. The rest of them are marked out as OB. So it looks like 3 birdies and actually, was that a star frame?
Yep.
That was a star frame.
You don't see those often.
You don't see them. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Hole 5 here is going to be playing along this tightly wooded fairway. You want your disc to be moving slowly to the right, landing somewhere about where the drone's flying over now and slowly moving to the right from that, so you can have this wide open gap here towards an island green. So if players do not land safely on the island, they're just going to have to throw from wherever they crossed last and bounds on the fairway until their disc is resting on that island, which makes this hole pretty difficult.
Yeah, and some questions I had actually, I forgot to answer in the last video, was people were wondering why the creek was casual on the previous hole and then OB on this one. It's actually property line. So we had to make it OB, but I think it makes this hole that much better. It kind of demands a it demands 2 great shots.
Yeah, I think the creek being OB here kind of turns what would have been a tweener into a true par 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if the creek's casual, you can be a lot more aggressive off the tee and kind of have an outside look at it. Ooh, that one almost slid to the right there. The forehand's a pretty aggressive play.
Yes, it's slanting left to right, and you can see that disc skipping, and the hillside just wants to push it into that creek every time for a forehand, especially one landing with any type of angle. And Barry was actually way back off his tee shot.
Yeah.
So he was just trying to get up to the spot where you want to be after your tee shot.
I was curious with that, how wide that gap was, if he was going for the green or not. Brad, it looks like, also is laying up there.
Sit down.
Bit of an unfortunate roll, but that stays safe.
And I'm actually in the same spot as I was the previous day. So I'm trying
You have a different disc in your hand, though.
Yeah, I'm making the adjustment here. I went with the overstable Luna this time and just kind of pumped it down there long.
Well, you'll have a little bit of a scary comebacker. Be looking
Yeah.
right at that OB.
Yeah, I was pushing the OB line in the backside.
Taylor, I do believe, went OB off his tee shot and then just kind of laying up to the top side of that hill.
Yeah,
to
and
have
just missed OB as well right there.
Yeah, if he would have skipped down, I think he hit some trees and fell. He might have been going for the green and kind of got lucky, but not 100% certain there.
Yeah, good upshot by Brad and Barry.
Barry in this video, just like Schwebby in last video, is so good at those putter upshots. It's just something that I think they're both so comfortable with from the woods in North Carolina.
Yeah, and it's probably the same disc they've been throwing for years too.
That's true.
I came up a little short there, timid with the OB water behind, just outside of my comfort range on that straddle. Good par save from Barry. Couple tap-ins here.
And then Taylor with the solo bogey on this hole. He's having a little bit of a rough start. Hopefully he can turn it around. But the holes on this wooded side, if you're not hitting your lines, they just seem to get harder and harder. This hole especially, you got to hit this initial line, have your disc move a little bit to the right through this gap we're looking at here before kind of flattening and letting the hill pull it back down to the left to this elevated pin. This hole is definitely a pretty straightforward hole, but it's also tough to hit just because there's one or two trees that if you throw what looks like the perfect shot, they just seem to nick them right at the last second.
Yeah, and this hill likes to pull your shots down to the left, and if it starts going down to the left, it can go for a long ways.
You're ripping out on a jawbreaker wasp, and that's pretty much parked.
Yeah,
that's the closest I've ever seen a tee shot.
That one felt really good when I let it go, and I knew it was drifting right just enough. I did catch a little branch. I don't know how much it affected it, but I'll take that result.
Yeah, for sure.
And Barry's was a little too straight, I think, to get in the circle, but he might have a look at it.
Yeah, you should have a pretty easy up and down for 3, if nothing else from there. Brad was heading down that hill and got a kick. It doesn't look like a fortunate kick, but it very well could have been, because if you start going left, things can get pretty hairy pretty fast down on that left side.
Yeah, and Taylor went with the forehand. We saw Lance throw it earlier. Unfortunately, he went right a little bit too early up the hill, but he's got a look here to save his par. Almost taking your brother out up there.
Yeah. Going straight at the catch cam. He'll be a little bit, probably about 30 feet or so right at the basket there for his par save. Brad just laying up. Getting a little bit of a roll, but that seemed to check up right next to the basket.
Oh, no.
Barry looked like he might have been running that. That disc was pretty high.
Yeah.
Oh, great putt from Taylor there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now. Barry right here to save his par.
Nah. That's the same mistake we saw Brody make yesterday. Just trying to make sure you get it up into those chains and just putting a little bit extra pop on it, ending up too high off the top band. And like I said, that's probably the easiest birdie you'll see from Paul there. Just a little tap out on that hole. That did not happen very often, I can tell you that much.
I think it might have been, I think there was only 3 birdies on that hole the whole weekend, too.
It would not surprise me. So this hole here plays as a par 4. You want to hit that tight gap to that first hill is kind of the ideal landing zone, and then you'll have a little forehand approach into this green if you're from there. Definitely going to play as a 2-shot hole for pretty much every competitor, though. Although the line could bait you into trying for an eagle.
I really pulled this one early.
Pushed forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Not sure how much you'll have up over there or if it kicked back to the fairway at all. But
kicked straight down and a little to the left, so ended up partially in the fairway. Brad actually did the same thing, but a little earlier.
Taylor's just sticking to what he knows, throwing the forehand. His release seems to be a little bit off today because everything just is missing barely right, but hopefully that kind of kicked him to a good spot where he can salvage a par. And it looks like we're 0 for 4 on hitting the fairway here.
Yeah, Brad's quite a ways back, but he is in the middle. And Taylor ended up high on the right, which if you do have a mistake on this hole, you want to be left because you can see how dense it is on that right side.
I mean, both sides of the woods on this course are pretty dense if you get off the fairway. That's just something that comes with a new course.
And this was an incredible shot by Barry.
There it is.
Whatever disc that was, it's the same one. I think he threw a little bit earlier in the round.
He throws that disc a lot in these woods. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I can never tell what the stamp is on it. But yeah, he's been throwing it all over these woods.
Pretty close to the ideal spot, but just did not turn it over enough.
Get that little vine.
Yeah, just had to a little bit more angle. I think I would have a birdie look at it. Now I'm gonna have to scramble.
Taylor hits early there, unfortunately, so he's only at the bottom of this hill. He was probably in a better position on the last shot he threw, but he's able to put it pretty close from there.
And then this is what Brad's looking at up on the left side. He did catch a tree right there, kind of kicked it back towards the fairway at least. And I'm just so deep in this stuff. I'm just forehanding a buzz. Luckily it wasn't too far from the basket.
Well, you were trying to give it a little bit of a bid there.
Unintentionally.
Brad just short on that one. And Taylor with 25-footer. His putter is starting to pick up. If he could just get his throws kind of dialed in, you know, he might be able to still salvage the round after a little bit of a rough start here.
Yeah, being able to save a bogey, I mean, it was pretty good for Taylor after none of his shots seemed to really move too far forward.
I did not realize that. I mean, I realized it, but I did not realize Barry birdied that hole.
Oh, yeah.
Looked like Brad just tapped out for a double bogey, unfortunately, but that was a great birdie from Barry, especially heading into this peninsula hole. At least that's what we dub it. You basically want your drive to be pushing far and straight to where the drone's flying right now with a slight left finish. And then you're approaching this peninsula green, those logs on the backside to find the OB behind, and then there's also OB left and right of the green. So players definitely have to be careful as they're approaching it to have good speed control and not let something hyzer out either way.
And Barry pulled this one immediately out of his hand. You could tell it's going to hit one of those 3 trees, which, I mean, aren't further than 80 feet off the tee. So him and I are battling right here. So I feel like this is a moment I could take a stroke off of him. But I did what he did, but worse.
Taylor going forehand, just trying to play a placement shot, and that was, if that missed that tree, that was going to be tracking to a good little landing spot for him.
Yeah, and unfortunately the camera's not behind the tee pad, but this is just a pretty straight shot. Here's what it kind of looks like from the tee pad. But you just want to play it up to the right and then where those people are standing, and then you have a pretty open forehand from there.
Yeah, Barry looked like he was getting pretty aggressive on that. Trying to kind of push towards the green a little bit.
Yeah, he was trying to take a little sneaky gap down the middle. I'm playing it out to the right side, kind of the initial fairway, just laying it up over there and taking my par, ideally.
The shot from Taylor looks like it's tracking OB. I couldn't tell if it hit something the last second or not, but that was definitely going a little bit left and had enough power that it might have just found the OB. That was a great shot from Barry. Oh, hit a tree at the last second.
Yeah.
I niced him through the commentary.
He stayed safe, but and I was actually able to get onto the peninsula with that shot.
Oh, nice.
And I just have this forehand zone, which I was trying to throw it in. Left it a little short, but...
Yeah, this is definitely one that if you're up on this hill, you know, it's not too risky of one to run. You got that stoppage behind it with the logs and the hillside. Brad from just off the peninsula.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty easy upshot from where he was, and he left it short and it ended up OB.
It looked like Taylor was putting from the edge, so I would imagine he might have been OB as well.
Taylor went out of bounds, Barry was in bounds, and then I just rolled into that hole on the green, which is right where my disc likes to go every time.
Yeah, as I said, it's 2 for 2 there. Stepping into hole 9, the toughest hole on the course. I believe it was playing a stroke and a half almost over par throughout the tournament. You basically want your disc to be flying pretty straight, and as the drone's kind of stopping right there, that's where you want your disc to be moving slowly to the right with a kind of just forward push to the finish if you can even have an idea of birdieing this hole. I wouldn't think we really see. I don't even know if we saw any twos this whole weekend. I didn't hear of any. I don't think, but I'm not entirely certain. It's a very, very tough hole, and most players are kind of playing this. That's an insane drive, actually. Most players are just playing this little layup to try to save the 3 here.
Yeah, I'm going with my Avenger SS here, just trying to really put on the hyzer, let it stand up on this left side like that, and just. I think that was a 1.5 feet off
from being parked.
From being close. I don't want to say parked, but from getting a look, and that's danger right there.
Yeah, I like the forehand play. I think that's what I would be most comfortable with on this tee, but he just had it a little bit too stable of a disc, it looked like, so it kind of hyzed into the woods a little early.
And there's Brad. He had that red disc in hand.
Yeah, he just pulled it right.
He threw a different one, though. Threw the purple one. But this is actually a very fortunate kick from where he's at. He's actually got to look at the basket. Oh, wait. No, he was further back.
Yeah, he was pretty far back.
He was just getting to the fairway.
It looked like he did push a little close to the basket. He might have an outside look at it.
There we go. Barry has a look at the basket.
Yeah, Barry can see the basket. That was, and you saw how good that drive was from Barry, and he's only right here. So you can imagine why this hole is so hard to get a 2 on. But great upshot from Barry there. Going to leave him probably like 15 feet or so.
Yeah, Barry actually goes with the mid-range here. He actually plays it for the 3.
That's smart, yeah.
And then I just have a soft mid approach there. I think I just hit a root.
Why'd you choose to go mid over putter on that approach?
It's flippier. It's more beat up than my putters.
So just a little more controlled touch shot.
Yeah, I could throw a hyzer and let it flip up to flat to where my putter would kind of stay on hyzer a little too long.
Good bid from Brad there to save his par.
But this is pretty textbook.
Yeah, that's how I think that's how a lot of players would, if they could pick the 2 spots to lay their discs, they would probably pick the 2 that Barry just did. Just, have a 100-foot upshot and then a 15-foot tap out for their par.
That make it really easy. I took the throw the driver hard and hopefully it gets close.
Yeah. So through 9 holes, we see Paul has extended his lead a little bit to a 4-stroke lead over Barry. And then we have Taylor and Brad. We do have a few players pushing from the chase car, but we'll talk about that more in the back 9 coverage.